got a good one today. Notre Dame and Virginia coming up here on the ACC Network. Speaking of good ones, the best in the business. Paul Carcaterra, Quint Kesnick joining me today. Chris Cotter here at Klockner. Now that I've gassed you guys up, let's talk a little lacrosse. You got it. Let's talk about some of the best players in this game. When we talk about Notre Dame, we're talking about the Kavanaugh brothers, and specifically Pat coming off a 4-assist game in their win against Michigan last week.
He was terrific last week. He was sharing the love, so to speak. He was helping his friends out as well, and it's the best the Notre Dame offense has looked this year. Kavanaugh dishing out dimes. What I love about his game is he can attack the goal from behind, from the wing, and from up top. He's got an element of creativity in his game and plays with a passion and ferocity that you rarely see. It's his emotion that drives the bus for Coach Kevin Corrigan.
Well, Q, he'll have his hands full today against Cole Kastner. 6'7", the wingspan of a condor. For me right now, he's the National Defender of the Year. He's been incredible. Game wrecker in the middle of the field on Virginia's ride. The ability to lock down the opposition, great stick checks, and he's defended smaller players today. Kavanaugh, similar frame to Chris Gray from North Carolina, where Kastner was very successful on a Thursday night against the UNC superstar.
Here are the numbers between these two. Pat Kavanaugh, of course, teams up with his brother on that first attack line for Notre Dame, Chris. And then Cole Kastner on the defensive end. Oh, by the way, the nation's leading scorer, Connor Schellenberger, will be in this game as well for Virginia, Q. And it's a Virginia team, and Schellenberger trying to bounce back from their first loss of the year against Maryland last weekend.
Punched in the face at Audi Field up in Washington, D.C. What kind of answers do you see from this defending national champ team? They got to make some defensive adjustments. They got to do better at the face-offs, and they need more midfield production on O.
Lars Tiffany said in our call with him earlier this week, Maryland showed us what the new bar is in 2022. We've got to up our game to meet that level. Will Lynch, Petey LaSalla to face off today, and we're underway from Klockner. LaSalla needing to bounce back as well. You don't see him under 50% in many games, and he was beaten up in that Maryland game. Still a battle for position. We'll get a whistle, and it'll be a procedure call, and it'll go against Notre Dame. First possession of the game now for Virginia. Substitutions coming in. Number 5, Matt Moore, comes into this game tied for second on the all-time Virginia scoring list, and that is a dignified list, to say the least. Liam Entman is in goal for Notre Dame, coming off his best game of the year. The All-American made 19 saves in that win against Michigan last week in South Bend. Here's Moore coming to the middle of the field. Gets it to the big old Peyton Cormier, the Canadian. He scores! Ball deflected on his shot and just tripped up Entman a little bit. Virginia on top early.
Tell you, nothing like a little good luck if you're a Cavalier fan. They short Cormier, he leans in with that big body, and the shot deflects off, I believe, 24, Hallenbeck, and somehow gets past Entman.
Something to concentrate on today. The Virginia attack will get short sticks on them. Notre Dame in the switch game, they're not as matchup oriented as a lot of teams. Fighting through picks is not their priority if it compromises the D.
Cormier with his 24th. He's a leading goal scorer for this Virginia team. Gets a lot in traffic in that crease attack spot. We'll get a call here. Push in the back, loose ball, and it'll be Notre Dame's ball in this face-off. Havoc in the middle of the field in the first two face-offs of the game. Now we'll get a chance to see Notre Dame in their first offensive possession. The lefty, Eric Dobson, number 8. Can absolute blast it from distance. Here's Wheaton Jacobois, the veteran. Kavanaugh. Pat is 51, Chris is 50. Dobson got his right hand free. He'll shoot wide of the cage. Matthew Nunes, the goaltender for Virginia. That was a question mark coming into the year, Q, and he put all those questions to rest quickly.
I love him. I think he's supremely talented. But Christmas came early for Nunes last week. He was lit up like a Christmas tree in D.C. How does he bounce back?
I will say this, though. When you watch him last week against Maryland and D.C., I liked his body language. Even when he was letting up goals late in that game, for a freshman, he stood mentally strong.
Turnover, but we've got a flag, so let's check it.
Physical confrontations in this game are critical. Okay, these are two of the most athletic rosters in Division I college lacrosse. That shows up on the wings of faceoffs. It shows up on the one-on-one confrontation between ball carrier and defender.
That's a great point. You'll see it between the two restrained boxes.
Saladay with a call against him, so Notre Dame goes up for 30 seconds, first man up opportunity.
This is a dangerous unit, over 60%. I mean, if you're over 40%, you're clicking on all cylinders. The Irish can light it up in the extra man.
Kavanaugh now to his brother Chris. Tough angle, tried to get a better angle. Defended nicely. Dobson, he'll rip it with that left and score.
When you watch the tape, and we have our production meetings throughout the course of the week, John Kettering, our producer, loves when Eric Dobson sets his feet and absolutely hammers it. You know what I like about his game too, Quint? Earlier in this quarter, we saw him dodging, getting to the middle of the field, shooting right-handed. This is his natural spot. Lefty time and room, 90+ mile an hour, top shelf noons, zero shot.
Absolute flamethrower. You've got to change the yardage defensively. Okay?
Yes.
These standard, hey, we're in position, we're in our house defensively, and we're going to give up that outside shot. That no longer works in this era where guys can torch 100 miles an hour. You've got to get to hands. You've got to impact shooters.
Yeah, different rules. Different rules when 8 and blue is stretching the defense.
Virginia trying to work the sub game here and couldn't quite get a shot off, but now they've got Notre Dame on their heels. Moore opting not to take the shot back behind the cage to Schellenberger. Defender fell down, advantage to Schellenberger, but he couldn't quite take advantage of it. Now you got Xander Dixon running onto the field, substituting Petey out, and we're kind of back to normal here. Griffin Schutz coming on. You can't miss him, 26 in white. Dixon scores! Beautiful cut and feed from Jeff Connor, who's finally close to 100% healthy for Virginia.
What a pass, Q.
Twinkle toe, Xander Dixon. I tell you, plug in the tape. How many times have we seen this exact goal from Virginia? It's like it's a crisscross cut where two players, one's coming in the near post and they jam it to the far post. We've seen this about a dozen times this season.
But they time it so well in the low angle shooting of Dixon, right? He knows when he catches that ball, he has a fraction of a second to let it go.
And the feed, Paul, it's almost as if it's thrown to space, not where the man is. The assumption is that Dixon will make that cut and he'll be there when the ball gets there.
Colin Hagstrom now taking the draw for Notre Dame. There's one area for the Irish where they've really struggled. It's at the faceoff dot this year, but Hagstrom wins it to himself. Coach Corrigan talked to us this week about possessions. It's been really frustrating for him. He's got to try and figure that out, especially at the faceoff X. They just haven't been able to get any rhythm offensively going because they've lost possessions in games.
You know, last year they had a bunch of graduate transfers in business school who are their outstanding face-off man. It's a new crew this year, and they faced very tough face-off competition, Chris. Ohio State, Georgetown, and Maryland.
Ball not being able to handle by Bryce Walker, and it's a turnover. You talk about the Kavanaugh brothers on that attack line. Coach Corrigan's trying to find that third attackman that's going to work well with him, and he's kind of working with several different guys. Griffin Westland's a veteran. Bryce Walker's there. Jeff Richardelli, we'll see a little bit of him today.
You know, I think it's interesting when you look at the dynamics of the Notre Dame attack. The more Chris Kavanaugh, 50 in blue, creates from a dodging perspective, that third guy needs to be an off-ball finisher, complementary type player to play with the Kavanaughs. And we're seeing Walker out there. Jeffrey Richardelli played with Chris Kavanaugh in high school at Taft School. They have great chemistry. And then obviously Griffin Westland, who's the incumbent.
Sign me up for that role where you got to hover around the net and just catch and score.
Wow, Entenmann was right there on a blast from Jack Simmons.
Wow, you talk about courage. Holy mackerel, these guys are nuts.
Now the relentless ride for Virginia. Both these teams outstanding on the ride, and Virginia causes a turnover. Can they get something here unsettled? Will Corey opts to pull it back out and allow for substitutions to come in, including Peter Garneau, number 33, with the ball in his cross. Garneau shoots, doesn't get through.
They got to get him going, Quint. 33 in white is a proven player, big-time performer in national championship type games. He struggled. He's got to feel some flow in terms of the offense, hitting the back of the net.
There's Garneau. More on that last shot.
I think they got
cage.
Chris, I think they got to set some stuff up for Garneau. I think they got to run some sets specifically to trigger his right-handed step-down game.
Jose Boyer down for Notre Dame, and as the training staff comes out to take a look at him, this has got to be concerning here for Kevin Corrigan, because we talked with him about the lack of polls that he has just in terms of numbers with injuries. Now without Carson Cochran, who tore an ACL in the last game, he's out for the year. Matt Douglas now getting time in his spot.
And that's a good point, too, because Ross Bergmaster, too, who plays a lot of long stick midfield, who helps spell Boyer, is playing down low as well, too. So they're thin at this spot. Jose, tough as nails from my hometown, Yorktown, New York, and just a fierce competitor. When he's hurt, he's hurt.
Nice sportsmanship from Matt Moore, giving him a pat on the back. These two guys know each other well.
Boyer is one of the only students in Yorktown history with perfect attendance.
Are you referring to the Carcaterra, any of the Carcaterra brothers as students, quote, unquote?
Jose is known for his energetic, fast, diligent player. You see him on the ball here. Runs into the pick. Runs into the pick. It was a clean pick. The feet were set.
Yep. Perfect attendance. Where'd you find that stat?
Come on, man. I was going deep into the archives.
Corey got a step on the defender. Tried to get it to Simmons, who got hammered for his efforts. Speaking of hammering, here comes Nick Harris downfield. A lot of speed, too. Gets free. Oh, man.
Oh, my
Nunes
gosh.
had to make the save. Point blank, and now Virginia coming the other way.
They're running.
Bauer. Schellenberger. Skip pass. Couldn't connect with Cormier.
A save by Nunes was next level. It's one thing to make that stop, but to catch it cleanly, you're like making a statement. Not today, baby.
Yeah.
And then to get it to Bauer quickly on the clear.
These are two young goalies with huge potential upside. Nunes, obviously a freshman. Entenmann with the 2020 COVID year. Technically only a sophomore eligibility-wise. So the ACC has two incredible goalies. Entenmann, a second-team All-American a season ago.
Shuts. Like a freight train. Just can't get it on cage.
When I watch Schutz, I feel like he always has an extra step to take, right? Like, why wouldn't he take that extra step right there?
Turn the corner. Take the extra step to greatness and turn the corner. Get to pay dirt.
Matt Moore on Arden Cohen. Keep an eye on that. Now he gets switched off to a shorty. Just tough angle, though. Now Cohen's checking Dixon behind the cage to Schellenberger, who brings it back. Jason Reynolds, the transfer on Schellenberger, number 1. Nation's leading scorer, as we said at the top of the show. Switches back to his right and scores.
We're talking about these young goalies. They could be the fuel to their offenses. Close the door. Give these great attackmen like Connor Schellenberger another opportunity to create.
What the fans see on game day, we got a glimpse behind the scenes at practice yesterday at Virginia, where Matt Nunes stayed after practice for 20 or 30 minutes repping shots. It's a Division I professional level work ethic. one of those shooters, Connor Schellenberger.
Yeah.
What's he shooting right now? Unbelievable percentage.
Over 50%. As a perimeter attackman, that's a stat for crease attackmen, guys who just hover on the inside. Schellenberger always working the perimeter. Over 50%. When you look at his game, when he attacks, his efficiency around the corner to can it is incredible.
Hagstrom lost his helmet in that exchange with Petey, and it ended up being Virginia's ball. Get a chance to see this second midfield unit here with McIntosh involved along with Will Corey. Flag down on the play. Notre Dame's going to get a call against him, delayed. We'll get that call coming up here as Cormier misses. Scott Rayburn, Andrew Smith, Jeff Russo are officials today.
He's on blue. It's a conduct foul on the head coach. It'll be a 30-second conduct on the head coach. We have a guy out there without a helmet. He didn't have a helmet on.
Coach Kevin Corrigan out onto the field. He thought there should have been a call off the face-off as the helmet came off his Fogo. And he's out onto the field barking at both officials.
Hagstrom's helmet came off, and then Corrigan's hat came off.
Charlottesville roots for Notre Dame coach Kevin Corrigan. Grown up here, his dad was the athletic director at the University of Virginia.
Went to Albemarle High School. So
Played
man up for
midfield, right?
Virginia.
Played midfield for the Cavs.
Very good midfielder on some talented Cavalier teams.
How did that ball get through? And eventually didn't. Oh, but a beautiful pickoff by Xander Dixon. Ensman got a piece of that one after Garno just let it rip.
Huge, huge stop. Meanwhile, number 10 in white, Xander Dixon, has been a nightmare on the ride around the crease this season with ground balls, interceptions. He's just causing a lot of havoc.
Back to full strength. Ball gets away from Schellenberger. Garno is there. That's McIntosh, number 18.
Matchup here for Dixon.
Uses the more pick. Garno will shoot off the pipe. Straight up in the air. Little English on it, picked up beautifully by Matt Douglas.
Those are two good looks, this possession by Peter Garno. And I mentioned earlier, they want to get him going, get another scorer from the midfield, a capable guy from the outside. Those are the spots.
Firing to the goal on that, trying to beat that 10-man ride with the long score. Can't do it, but Notre Dame is fortunate enough to be able to back up the play and keep possession.
Get the feeling that this is an important possession, Kark, in the fact that Notre Dame really hasn't had the ball much, trailing by 2. They got to find some rhythm. They got to get something going.
Yeah, it starts with 51 in blue. Pat Cavanaugh, he's got that big matchup against Cole Kastner, 39 in white. These are two premier players in all of college lacrosse. You want to see Cavanaugh test the matchup.
There it is right there. Kastner was able to recover. Now back to David Lipka. One-time transfer from Syracuse, shoots it wide. Race to the end line. It's going to be won by Notre Dame. Meanwhile, in Syracuse, Orange leading 9-5 in the third quarter over on ESPNU.
Making things interesting in the ACC, right? Everyone thinks the Orange dead to rights. Not so fast, maybe, Q.
Dobson underneath.
And meanwhile, the Blue Devils, a couple weeks ago, trailed Loyola 10-2 at the break. Last week, they trailed Towson 4-2. And they show up today and fall behind, what, 5-1 early?
7-1 at one time.
What is going on in Durham?
After that Dobson missed, Notre Dame just 1 for 6 shooting to start this game. Cavanaugh coming upfield. That's his brother, Chris. Now over to Dobson. Jacoboys, he'll fire from there. That's his spot, but he's high. Notre Dame missing the target early.
He scores the 2 goals last week against Michigan, 55 in blue, Jacoboys. But going into that game, shooting 13%. A player that they need a little bit more offensive production, better shooting efficiency.
Dobson again. That time he got to his favorable left side, but missing. Still plenty of time to shoot, over 20 seconds. Kavanaugh trying to work a two-man game with Lipka. Try to find Walker cutting, but the ball gets away, and we'll get an over and back. Possession to Virginia. Third turnover of the game for Notre Dame. Can Virginia operate quickly? Moore, head up.
Tell you, that's great defense by Virginia. Lars Tiffany is the head coach. He's also the defensive coordinator. Went back to basics this week. Said they really reevaluated their slide packages, their approaches, and their man-to-man defense on the perimeter after giving up 23 to Maryland. Hard to believe.
Jeff Connor taking his time, allowing the substitutions to come in for Lars Tiffany. Over to Griffin Schutz. Moore quickly. Connor got a better angle, and he scores!
When you have Connor Schellenberger behind and Matt Moore up top, you essentially have two elite quarterbacks balancing your offense, Quint.
Circular passing, tic-tac-toe. Watch the hitch and go. Hitch, step around him, use the earth. Cavaliers 4-1 and humming.
The land is dying. I have to find a way to fix it all. And the answer is somewhere out in the Forbidden West. But whatever comes, I will be ready.
PlayStation. Going up like facing a tennis game moment. I'm spending a lot of time up in the heavens. Yeah, I'm entering the center of the moon. Better you could get a rocket to the sky. Soon in the air, got a ticket for the ride. I know you're watching. They wanna see me. I know you're watching. See me rocket, see me rocket. See me rocket, see me rocket. No stopping, no wait, they can't stop it. You wanna see me?
4-1, Virginia off to a great start here in Charlottesville, much to the chagrin of that man right there, Coach Corrigan and Notre Dame. That's the photo of the day right there.
Wow, look at number 32. Old school for life.
Awesome. Socks up, the tight shorts.
All business.
The old back
Got
rack
some
raisin.
quads, too.
The old back rack raisin gloves.
Albemarle High School, raised here in Charlottesville. Played here, of course, in the late 70s, early 80s, and there's his dad, Gene, who was the AD here long time, and such an instrumental part of the growth of the ACC as a conference.
I was going to say, and a supporter of lacrosse
Yes.
at a time that really kind of built it. You know what I mean? He built
man.
Virginia lacrosse. He was helpful at Duke, and then nationally, he always advocated for lacrosse's growth and support.
And he wore two hats, too. Even when he was the athletic director here, he helped out with the extra man. Kevin was telling us, right? He was always involved in the lacrosse programs, a huge ambassador to the sport, and he was an amazing man.
Another face-off won by Virginia. Notre Dame has tried Lynch. They've tried Hagstrom. And Petey is bouncing back nicely from a day that he certainly would label as subpar against Maryland last weekend.
And that's big for him, because if you look at Petey statistically through the years, right? Like, he rarely has that, like, 50%.
I was going to say,
See,
he's 80-20 or 20-80%. He's rarely in the 50 range.
so this is a good sign for him to bounce back after last week.
But I think that the big factor with Petey is he's got to work on his counters.
His
so
counters?
that when his clamp isn't working, he's got other options.
Here comes Notre Dame. Kavanaugh, a little unsettled here, and isn't able to find anybody, so he holds off and waits for Mo Meyer and the substitutions to come out of the midfield.
You know, Paul, to have that flexible mindset to kind of say, you know what, it's not working, I got to change. How can I counter this other guy? He's pretty good too.
Yeah, you mentioned the counters. I also think, like, how do you respond mentally too, right? Because when you're having one of those rough days, the counters are one thing physically, but mentally too. I think it wears on Petey sometimes when those other guys go on those runs.
Kavanaugh Ball gets away. Notre Dame really has not been sharp on the half-field offense at all. I mean, their only goal in the day came with a man up.
When you break down the numbers this year, this is a team that has not shot a high percentage. You throw out the Detroit game, they're only shooting 25%. And in terms of assists, they haven't been a great passing team at all. You throw out the Detroit game again, they're ranking in the 50s in the country in passing and assists per game.
And if you look at some of those known scorers from years past, whether it's Wheaton Jacobois, right? If it's Griffin Westland, those guys have kind of struggled statistically this season.
Shuts down the alley, up top to Connor, and he's forced to make the save. It's a good one.
I think it's a multifaceted reason their offense isn't clicking. One is possessions, the tendency to press when you don't win faceoffs. Two, a lack of transition. They have not run out well from defense to offense.
Irish successful on the clear. Here comes Kavanaugh. Can't find anybody to dish to. Now he finds Dobson, who has a tough angle. Back to Kavanaugh, goal line extended. Nothing easy against this Virginia offense early today. Jacobois thought about it. Kastner shut it down. Final minute of this first quarter. Chris Kavanaugh just cannot get free. Dobson. No good looks for Notre Dame so far. Now the help comes. Westland can't get anything going. Up top here to Chris Kavanaugh. He's going to have to let it go. With his left, Nunes is there. Saw it all the way. And the horn sounds to end a first quarter. Q, you asked about it at the top of the show. How would Virginia respond to that loss? Well, I would say to the fans here at Klockner, it's a pretty good response. The Wahoos putting a 4 spot up here in this first quarter. Xander Dixon doing his part. We head to the second. Virginia up 3.
Check out this verbo. Come on. Now I'm here. Now you're here. Nothing can go wrong 'cause I am right where I belong.
Start of the second quarter here in Charlottesville. Let's look back to last year. These two played in a pretty good one up in South Bend. Dobson. Cormier battling back for Virginia. Here's another rocket from Dobson. Look at this angle.
Yeah, he was feeling it. The freshman at the time wanted the rock, but at the end of the day, it was Doc's time, right? Doc's Aiken, all-time leading scorer from the midfield, and Virginia history closes it out for the Cavs. And today, we have a great crowd on hand. This is always one of the special places in all of college lacrosse to check out a game. A little windy, a little cold, especially up here in the exposed
We're in the
booth.
coldest spot of the stadium.
Yes.
The fans, they love to bang on the metal bleachers here when the Cavs run in transition. And I got to give them credit. They got the pep band here today. This is an awesome pep band. Folks on the far side get to enjoy the sun on the grassy knoll.
Better than your Blue Jay pep band or what?
It's a different galaxy, man.
Different. Oh, wow. Petey to himself out front. Here's more. Either we're in the coldest part of the stadium, Q, or all the fans are just a lot tougher than we are.
No, it's a different
And we feel
ecosystem
like
up
we're
here
colder.
because we're in the 25-mile-an-hour wind in the shade.
Yes.
Shuts. Beautiful pass to Cormier. Just like couldn't get a shot off, lost his footing before he was able to put it on cage. We'll get a loose ball call.
Yeah, it looked like Cormier was pushed when he took that shot, so Cavs Keep the rock.
Shuts. That's a tough angle and scores.
Here's the deal with 26 and white. He's so big that he's hard to push into an even poorer angle. He's going down the left alley. It looks like he's got no angle. At the last second, he switches to his right hand to increase his shooting percentage, and you can't move him. Like normally when you're defending someone like that, Quint, you can get him farther behind the cage when he attempts with that right hand. He's too big.
That is decent defense by Ryan Hallenbeck. That one's on Entenmann. Somehow he lost his balance, he lost his positioning. He was lunging at the shooter.
Right.
Shuts' strength is a major problem, though.
Yeah,
really
do you know
is.
what I mean? Like when you're around goal line extended, normally at that spot when he changed from left to right, you can ride that guy
No,
behind.
exactly. Hallenbeck just kind of pushed him instead of riding him. You know the difference?
Yeah.
I can just push you, or I can guide you behind the goal. There's a big difference.
Yeah, you have to keep constant
Maintaining
pressure.
the contact. That's right. Maintain that constant pressure.
Push on the face-off. So Virginia gets possession 4 in a row on that face-off X for Petey LaSala and the Virginia Cavaliers. Garno spins free momentarily. Now back behind the cage to Moore. Cohen on him. Moore threatened the shot. Now up to Garno. Schellenberger gives him a pick. Got a shorty on Schellenberger
Who's
here.
ready to go? Who's ready to support defensively?
Entenmann goes down and robs McIntosh. Good bounce back save for Entenmann. Loose ball picked up by the Irish. This is going to be a call against Virginia. So a delayed call against the Cavaliers. Long pass for the Irish, trying to get Nunes out of the goal on that 10-man ride. Now Dobson, will he let one rip here? Got the delayed call again coming up on Virginia. 15-minute drought of game time for Notre Dame since their last goal. And remember, their only goal of the day has been man up. 15, Quinn McCann. Dobson. Trying to get to the middle of the field so we can use his left hand. Pass goes awry, but Kavanaugh's there to pick it up. Here's Westland. Lipka. Now we'll get another call here against Virginia. Kavanaugh. Shot clock winding down, just 5 seconds. And he just had to put it on Cage. Now we'll get another call.
That's 3. We're going to be 3 men up because those are 3 different Virginia players who are going to be doing time.
Lars thinks that we should have had a shot clock violation before that third call was even made. I think that's the argument he's making right now, and maybe that's what the officials are talking about.
Yeah, but if they don't change their mind here, it's going to be 6 on 3.
Rarely seen 6 on 3.
Yeah.
The triangle defense.
All right, let's see if we can get the call here.
Fouls on the play. White 18, hold.
White 18, hold 30 seconds.
30-second hold on 18.
30 on white slash, 1 minute.
1 minute. Hold on.
And then a slash.
Minute slash. Only 2. I guess there's not the third call.
They threw 3 flags. They threw a flag on the far end when Entenmann had the ball. They threw one
It was
on
the
the left
last
side
one.
of the screen, and then there. Maybe
The
they
last
took.
one they're going to wave off. They must be waving off.
Yeah.
That's correct.
The first one is here.
It was a hold on 18 right there.
That's it right there.
This was a slash.
Right there
Wow.
to the head.
Okay.
That was Kastner to the head.
But this one, I guess Lars's argument was correct if they're 6-on-4, right? Because he said it was after the shot clock.
We were definitely
violation.
double zeros on that shot clock.
2-man advantage for 30 seconds.
And that's what it's going to be.
Defense in a box to a diamond formation.
Ricciardelli misses, stays
Everybody
with Notre Dame.
helps out Chris on that slot man.
Yep. Jeffrey Ricciardelli is in the middle. You
That's
see him
his
number
spot.
1. Jacobois, tough angle for Westland.
Fine Dobson, number 8. He's got the cannon from the outside.
Well, Ricciardelli just had his shot deflected. Another flag coming out. 2 flags.
Fans don't like it.
I don't like it.
Penalty flags on the field.
Let's see what this looks like with a closer view. Maybe he got him in the helmet.
It's a cross check on 43.
Wait, 43 wait. Cross check.
Cross check.
Cross check to the head.
Full time.
For 1 minute.
No
Okay.
parole. Well, watch the closeout to the interior man in the slot that we talked about. He's leading with the stick, and then he
that's a
follows
good
it
call.
up. Great
That's a good call. Yeah.
Absolutely.
From up here, real time, couldn't tell. That's a great call. Whalen doing a minute unreleasable.
Yeah, you know, the first half of that play is textbook, Paul. He gets there with the stick to impact the shooter, and you just got to show some restraint, right?
Yeah, could have ended there.
Advantage for the subsequent 32.
The momentum, I guess, to lead with the body as well, but
So 4 on 3 for 28 seconds, and then the remainder full time. High on that shot. Still 19 seconds with the 2-man advantage. Dobson. Now Jacobois. Tough angle for Westland. Better. Shoots. Nunes. Wow. And now they'll look to break out. Soliday. Now down just one
Lock the
man.
door and throw away the key.
yeah, he was all over that one.
Twice he has been all over it today with point-blank saves that he has caught as if to taunt the Fighting Irish.
It's the patience and the top hand speed of a young goalie, only a freshman. There's no guessing there. There's no guessing there. It's all reaction.
Virginia kills off both man down situation, so Nunes. As is often the case in hockey, your best penalty killer is your goaltender, and in that case, that certainly was true for Virginia.
It's snowing.
Yeah, I know. Snowing here in Charlottesville. Shuts. Unstoppable.
Masterful at the low angle.
Two freshman phenoms, both top 10 prospects. Yesterday after practice, Matt Nunes stayed after for at least a half an hour, taking reps. He didn't like the way he played last week. Man, he's bounced back and made a statement. Press rewind and then replay. Shuts.
Too big.
Carbon copy. Carbon copy.
Too strong, too skilled. I was here for a Virginia football game in the fall. I saw Matthew Nunes outside of the football facility playing wall ball by himself, doing all these goalie drills. Yesterday on my way to practice, he was there early, jumping rope. He is locked in, focused. I mentioned last week, even when Maryland lit the freshman up, his body language never wavered, never.
A reversal on the original call on the procedure originally given to Virginia, then the officials changed their minds. Notre Dame ball. Jacobois gets in the middle, just misses the cage. Great scoring
dodge.
opportunities.
Great dodge by Jacobois. You see the change of speed, little subtle change of direction. He gets to a strong left hand, gets to pay dirt. He got to the good spot.
He's a tremendous athlete. I think he's a pro prospect. Can play both sides of the field. His shooting has really caused some issues in his overall game this season.
He had 21 goals last year, 10 assists.
Lars Tiffany wants to talk things over defensively. His team up 6-1, 9:11 left to go in this first half from a snowy Charlottesville, Virginia.
I love A&T Chevrolet. They make it so easy.
A new Chevy and that new car smell? Life is good.
The A&T Advantage makes car buying simple, convenient, and exceptional.
During Truck Month, spring into savings with a $1,000 accessories allowance on a new Chevy truck.
No hassle, no haggle, no pressure. And that Bulldog is dreamy.
I double dog dare you to check out A&T Chevrolet. They're closer than you think.
Introducing the new Whopper Melt, inspired by the Flame Grilled Classic, but with cheese, more cheese, caramelized onions, and toasted buns. Is it Whopper worthy? You decide. Try the new Whopper Melt and Classic Spicy or Bacon, now open late.
The Premier Lacrosse League is really game-changing.
Historic day for the sport of lacrosse.
We are set up for arguably the greatest season of professional lacrosse history.
Jeff Teat over the shoulder. Vrabel behind the back pass. Oh, Josh Byrne between the legs. 644 points.
You can hear the excitement from the crowd.
Big week for us here at ESPN, the worldwide leader, signing a 4-year deal with PLL. So we're going to have our summers full, guys, and really looking forward to it.
It's a big win for the sport. It's a win for the fans. It's a win for the players and the growth and exposure that comes with this. This game, the sport of lacrosse, is now poised to make a serious run.
Yes, it's all under one roof. And so look at my big board, done in early March. Couple players right here. I think Matt Moore, he's positionless. You could argue he might fight Chris Gray for the top spot just because of his versatility. Wheaton Jacobois, his two-way ability, his speed and athleticism. But I'm so pumped for this opportunity for the sport of lacrosse to bring the PLL and pro sport and everything that we have inventory-wise on the college and the high school and the professional indoor league, to put them under one house, right? What we can do all together to grow this game, I think it's limitless.
Cav. Shorty on him. Tough angle, spins back to his right, got underneath and scores! They'll wave it off though. In the crease, waving off the goal.
That was a cool finish,
yes.
the way he flipped that, kind of backhanded.
One thing when you watch all the Kavanaughs, it started with Matt when he came to Notre Dame almost a decade ago as a freshman. Incredible in terms of his creativity and his toughness and his disregard for his body. All the Kavanaughs are so tough. Left side of your screen, let's take a look. Chris Cavanaugh, the freshman, dips underneath, continues upfield. Yeah, you see that knee, I think, dragged inside the crease before it crossed the plane, the ball.
Was he not in the goal mouth as well?
Could have been both. I mean, if it was in the goal mouth, they could have flagged him too.
That goal mouth is that ice cream cone essentially inside the crease. If you land in that goal mouth at all, whether the ball goes across the goal line or not, before you do it, they'll wave it off.
Yeah, I think it was his knee, and then, you know, after the play, he kind of rolled with the momentum.
Over and back. Irish will regain possession. The snow really coming down here in Charlottesville as that wind picks up.
I didn't prepare for this.
You were miserably unprepared. No gloves, no hat.
There's a bunch of fans that are feeling your pain as well. You can't show up to a lacrosse game in March wearing a T-shirt and shorts.
You're from Yorktown, New York.
Yeah, it's just not the cold. I'm not going to complain though. I'm going to fight through this. It's not just the cold. It's the wind. I put so much hair product in my hair every week. Right. It rarely moves.
It was
flying
gone
all
before.
over the place.
It was gone before opening faceoff. Good look at Will Angrick, freshman. Coach Corrigan really raved about him, number 29, his complete game when we spoke to him this week. Now Cavanaugh, Chris, number 50. Back to Griffin Westland.
Clark, you need to call Mel Kiper and get your hair figured out.
No, his is like Jimmy Johnson's. It never moves.
It's got more Vitalis in that hair than we've seen since the 70s. Langrick. Got to step on the defender. God, Nunes out of nowhere. Plucks that one out of the air and gets the break started quickly. Weyer got tripped up at midfield. Fans here want a call. They haven't gotten one.
That's what you were talking about, Quint. When you bring two teams with athletes like that, that's what the middle of the field looks like.
Can the Irish take advantage? They've missed their last 15 shots. Kavanaugh touches up, so Corrigan calls a timeout to talk things over here in this second quarter. 5:51 left to go in the first half. What's going on around the rest of the league? As we got a big weekend in ACC action. Of course, we all know about Virginia suffering their first loss of the year last weekend to Maryland in a game. We talked about it earlier and talking to Coach this week about how the bar is now raised for what Virginia has to do the rest of the way if they want to compete with Maryland.
Face facts. Maryland is better in 2022 than they were in 2021.
Yeah.
They're deeper at the midfield. The influx of transfers. They've grown up something defensively and facing off. The Terps are better this year. Everybody's got to rise up if they're going to beat the Terps.
10 of 23 Terp goals last week were from transfers. Chris Gray, I mean, a few weeks ago, no one was really talking about it. Look how close he is for shattering Lyle Thompson's all-time point record. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
And Ashton Olding of High Point is climbing the charts as well.
Yes.
Get a chance to see Chris Gray following us here on the ACC Network. Bellman in North Carolina.
Got a good one in the dome right now, boys.
Wow. Oh, here
That's going on
come
right
the Blue
now.
Devils.
Over on ESPNU, Duke and Syracuse.
Hughes throws that same group of players out every shift, and their fourth quarter scoring margin has not been good. They're holding on right now. The team showed a lot of heart and a lot of guts this year.
Good point, because when you watch both teams, you worry about Syracuse depth, so they had that nice lead at half. Their depth, always a question. Duke is a second half team too, right?
Yeah.
That man right there is going to have to get his Irish to be a second half team, at least the way things are going right now, trailing 6-1, just under 6 to go in this first half.
He's got to find some answers on offense. It's been all ISOs, very little ball movement off the dodge. We haven't seen many multiple passes. I think they'd be smart to get the ball behind a little, start there, and get some ball reversal, from weak side of the field to strong side of the field.
Would you agree they've had great scoring opportunities, though they just haven't forced Nunes to make great saves? He's made a couple of great saves, but they've had a lot of chances where they haven't even put it on cage.
Well, I like what Quint was saying too. As much as Pat Kavanaugh moves around and he's versatile in the offensive sets, they're really successful when he's back there quarterbacking, right?
Here he is.
When he's quarterbacking and running the show.
Now to Dobbs and inverted up top. Here's Chris Kavanaugh. Westland gives him a pick. Castor's just too good to roll over that pick and get on him again. Soliday.
Virginia doubling.
Right,
Virginia doubling much more aggressively today than they did last week against Maryland.
Castor just suffocates you, though. It's crazy.
Jacoboyce under 10 to shoot. Misses the target. See, now you're at 4 to shoot. The Irish opting to just dump it into the corner and set up their ride.
We were at practice yesterday. I think Quint brought up a great point about Cole Kastner, 39 in white. As big as he is, he's 6'7". You said, look at his upper torso, right? Like his upper body, he's so long there. So although he's 6'7", like his feet and his legs, they move like a smaller guy, don't they?
That's exactly right. Dave Petramalo was built the same way. Like it's almost a Michael Phelps body. It's mostly torso. He's got the legs of someone who's 6 feet tall. So he has the agility to match paces with a Kavanaugh.
I hope Petro heard that. He's actually busy right now, but I'm sure he'll hear that his body is just like a Michael Phelps type. He's going to love that. Entman makes the stop.
Entman's done a nice job after that first goal, a deflection, a bad luck goal. He's bounced back, just trying to keep his team in range.
Meyer. Those football jeans on that clear attempt. He gets free. Now he gets tripped up. There's the flag.
Virginia's offsides, and we're going to have a penalty. So this should be 2 fouls against the Wahoos.
Yeah, I think Xander Dixon went off, right? Because he was playing attack at that spot. And then Kastner's going to get something.
Looks like they missed the offside.
Yeah.
This is one of the tough plays with the officiating. When a team goes 10-man, sometimes you can get away with the offsides. It's clearly a trip.
Yeah, because Dixon was at attack because they pulled Cormier off the field. And he was clearly on the other side.
They were offsides. They missed it.
Big opportunity here for Notre Dame late in the first half. Down 5 goals. Another man up. Scored on their first opportunity, but then they had a 2-man up. They went scoreless moments later. Kavanaugh. Jacobois. He'll shoot. Misses the target.
Yeah, 1 for 19.
Dobson and Notre Dame keep possession. Jacobois again. Kavanaugh. There's his brother.
Shutting off Dobson. Right side of your screen.
Jacobois trying to step down. Just no room. Kavanaugh. Westland. Now the skip pass. Extra pass. Nunes goes down and makes the stop. Ball loose in front of the crease. Virginia, another opportunity here. Under 10 seconds left to go, and this man down. Looks like they'll kill another one off.
That was high level from everybody, Carr.
Yeah.
That offense was really good. The passing was precise. It was sharp. It was quick. The defensive reaction was there. And then how about Nunes, man? He's made 3 or 4 point-blank saves today, showing his athletic ability. He's a smooth mover.
A couple of big ones were when Virginia was a man down, too, to preserve this 5-goal advantage. Schutz. He's done so much on the run today. That one looked like it caught a piece of the pipe.
When you watch Griffin Schutz, 26 and white, when he starts moving downfield, the size, the strength combination, it's like a Mack truck, man.
More. There he is with his left. Man, Edsman, we're seeing some really good goaltender play today. Harris on the run.
Push it now if you're the Fighting Irish. They need a spark in transition.
Harris had an opportunity, opted not to take it. Back up top here to Kavanaugh. Here's Riley Gray in that second midfield unit, number 17 for the Irish. Meyer coming in on the sub.
He almost stepped outside, right?
Almost.
Pulled a Dan Orlovsky.
We love that you brought that up. Still 40 seconds to shoot for the Irish. Minute 29 in this first half. Here's Bryce Walker. Help comes. Dislodged. Peel did a nice job peeling back. Sawstead had it knocked away from him at the middle of the field.
That was a good double by Virginia. That's the double Lars always likes to send, right? Once you turn your helmet, he's coming.
Notre Dame continuing to ride. That's one thing they've done well this year. The Kavanaughs are hustlers. They set the tone with the ride.
Riley. He shoots and scores.
Notre Dame with a monster goal. Quint, I want you to look at Nunes on this one, though. I think they caught him out of position.
I tell you, the defense got a little raggy after the turnover. Second chances will kill you. Notre Dame earns the possession off the ride. It's just a one-on-one set. It looks like Nunes was maybe a little over-aggressive on his arc. This angle will show. Does he give up the inside pipe?
Yes.
Just enough.
Gray's 4th goal of the year. It's only a 4-goal deficit here with just under a minute left to go here in this first half. Will Lynch back at that faceoff dot to take on LaSala. First goal in over 26 minutes.
Yeah, LaSala has felt it. Today he's 1-6 of 9. It's a good look at Notre Dame's ability to battle there too. And Kevin Corrigan knows that for this team to be successful, they're gonna have to support their draw guys.
Will Lynch won that draw, and now you get a timeout here with 42 seconds left in the first half. If Notre Dame could get a goal here and go down just 6-3, that's a lot of mo, and really still in this game.
The whole tenor of this thing. Virginia's dominated this first half, and if you go in at 6-3, really? Woo.
What do we got coming up at the half? Oh, we got some mid-season awards. It's hard to believe, but we are right about the middle of the year here in college lacrosse. Players and teams as well.
I love our guys. I will say, it seems like the midfield position this year is a little difficult to find. Like upper echelon guys, like guys who are crushing it. And then the other thing is the freshman class. I think due to COVID, you know, those classes were impacted at the high school level. Plus, we have a surplus on the college rosters. It's harder for freshmen right now than it's ever been.
I agree. With all the 5th years and in some cases 6 years, taking advantage of extra eligibility. But when you're a superstar freshman and you're one of the best at your position in all the country, you're like a quarterback coming into a vacant spot, and that's what Matthew Nunes has done in 2022. He has been absolutely spectacular, taking over for Alex Rode, who won 2 national titles in 2019 and 2021. He's been absolutely on fire, technically as sound as it comes for a freshman, Q.
Woodlands, Texas, that's North Houston. This is a guy who was a linebacker. He played basketball. In 3rd grade, he was a D-pole. But the goalie forgot his cup. He made the shift into goal, and he actually ran midfield defense as late as sophomore in high school for the Woodlands. Worked a lot with Chris Saran, who's a great goalie coach down in Texas. This kid was a burst onto the scene.
Final 40 seconds here for the Irish in the first half. Don't have to take a shot. Shot clock is irrelevant. Chris Kavanaugh. Brother Pat. Nowhere to go. Here's Chris. Over to Dobson. Final 10 seconds. Dobson will shoot. Nunes is there to stone him. Fires it quickly downfield, trying to hit Cormier. Ooh. Almost got it. He did it. He just missed the cage. Wow.
When the Canadian hands come in handy, right?
What a great pass by Nunes to understand clock and score. He had 4, so why not throw it to your attackman who's perched on the opposite crease?
Wow, right off the shoulder.
Yes, wow. Entenmann steps up when he had to in the final seconds. Our halftime score here in Charlottesville. Virginia 6, Notre Dame 2. Schutz on the move. Riley Gray getting Notre Dame back into it. They trail by 4 at the break. Charlottesville, the sun has come out. Thankfully, we had snow in that first half. We also had a Virginia 6-2 lead, but one of the reasons why Virginia's up 4 goals is because Notre Dame went into a big-time scoring drought. They did score one towards the end of that first half. Just keep it a game. Chris Cotter, Quinn Kesnick, Paul Carcaterra with you, and it's really that scoring drought for Notre Dame. They had a hard time finding the cage. I mean, they had opportunities in that first half.
Before they just hit the back of the net late in that second quarter, they were 1 for 19 heading late into the second quarter, just couldn't find their stroke. The thing for me, though, that tells me Notre Dame's still in this game, it's 6-2. They've had those opportunities. I think Matt Nunes for Virginia has been fantastic in spots in the goal. I think it's all about Notre Dame just finding some shooting type of confidence.
Yeah, they're shooting about 10%. I thought in the second quarter they had more possessions. Virginia fouls kind of changed the mojo of this game because remember, Virginia was owning all the possessions.
Yeah.
And I think the stars for Virginia have been the defense, but the young guys.
Well, let's start in goal when you talk about young guys and you talk about the freshman Nunes. He hasn't had to make a lot of saves today, but he's made some spectacular ones.
I agree with that. Rustalin, our stat guy, got him for 6 saves. It feels like more because they've been high-quality stops. You know, they've been the 6 to 10-yard range, and many of them he's caught clean, which is just so demoralizing.
Yeah, and another freshman, too. The #1 rated freshman in all of college lacrosse is that Matt Truck. Griffin Schutz. When you look at his size and strength and his ability to shoot with low angles today, too. It's like he's going down the alley, and you're saying, no, you don't have that angle, and he sticks it.
It's like an oversized load on the highway. Once he gets going, man, get out of his
diesel.
way.
It's like a diesel out there. You talk about Notre Dame, too. You talk about getting shots. Also winning the faceoff, Dot, because Petey LaSalle's bounced back nicely from Wehrman getting the better of him last week against Maryland, and he's winning a lion's share of the draws.
We were worried about LaSalle in terms of his confidence, but when you look at his track record, he's got the 2 national championships. He's played in huge games. He typically responds after a tough outing. But for Notre Dame, it's not necessarily about winning the faceoff. It's winning the possession, and I think their wing play and their ability to jump LaSalle in timely doubles will be critical for them to kind of offset the domination of 23 and White.
You see Schutz's day. He's having a solid day so far. The faceoffs 2-1 in terms of numbers for Petey LaSalle against the 2-headed monster for Notre Dame. And both goaltenders, Entenmann, let's not undersell. He may have given up a soft one here and there in that first half, but pretty darn good.
Yeah, at a time where this game was spiraling out of control, I thought Entenmann showed incredible poise. And I got to give Notre Dame credit, though. You know, the effort. For as much as they've struggled offensively, they're riding hard. They're competing on grounders. They're guarding the ball. Like, this is not an effort thing. I think this is more schematic and kind of finding their offensive confidence.
I would agree with you, and I think this second half is obviously critical for Notre Dame in terms of continuing that effort, because next week they have Syracuse. Syracuse answered the bell in the Carrier Dome today, beating Duke by a score of 14-10. I think a lot of people, including all of us, thought Duke would be in a good position to win that game. Syracuse, I think from an effort standpoint, a lot like Notre Dame, they're going to bring it every single weekend.
How about leaning on Tucker Dordevic? 5 goals today.
Between the legs, he scored one of them.
Cuse deserves a lot of credit, because when they lost that game at Homewood Field against Johns Hopkins, who's not exactly tearing things up, you know, like their season was in major peril. Like they're on their last lifeline. That's a great answer in the Dome today. Gary Gate, Dave Petromaldi, the players. Again, we've seen effort from that group all year, and it pays off today with a big W. What do you do with Duke now? Where do you rank Duke?
Their best wins would be what? High Point?
They got losses to Jacksonville.
Penn.
Losses to Penn. They have 4 losses now. A win over Denver. A win over... This is not the typical John Danowski slow start.
This is when they start heating up. February is when they typically would struggle in the past.
Something's not right in Durham. They're just so inconsistent.
But here's the thing, though. When you're playing in the ACC like they are, something not right can change in a heartbeat. Look what it's doing to Syracuse right now. Something was not right there. We knew that it was going to take a little while to turn that program around a little bit. But what happens with a big win today against Duke? Now all of a sudden you're in the hunt.
The one thing that I think we've all kind of said about Syracuse this year, their lack of depth was obvious. They had star power with Dordevic and Curry. But the one thing, even when they were getting beat down here by a lot, and when they lost at Hopkins a couple weeks ago at Homewood Field, you never could question their effort. And when you have a team like that, you know they're going to clip a team that maybe they shouldn't beat, right, on a schedule. Like today, Duke was favored in this game, but Syracuse's effort and their ability to not waver.
And it makes next week's game in South Bend all that much more important for Syracuse and for this Notre Dame Fighting Irish team right now, fighting their tails off on the road and trailing by 4 to Virginia as we start this second half.
That was the exact thing. Exactly.
That play right there. You see the compete level of this Fighting Irish team. They're really good athletes. They'll scrap you, man. They play with the Windy City and the big shoulders, and it's a rugged style.
Big shoulders like the guy right next to me and Chris Cotter. But that's what I was saying at halftime. It's not about winning the draw. They lost the draw right there to Petey LaSalle. They won the possession.
Kavanaugh scores! And that lights up this bench.
You know, Q, I've always said one day I think we're going to have a stat that says face-offs to possessions, right? Because Petey LaSalle wins the draw, Notre Dame jumps him, gets physical with him, and then it gives the Irish offense an opportunity to can one. And in a game that they've been dominated, now it's 6-3.
Yeah, don't look now. I mean, if you're in that Fighting Irish locker room at halftime, you're saying, guys, offensively, it was a stinker. Good news is our goalie, our defense, kept us within striking range.
Big crowd here tonight, silent as Lynch and LaSalle prepare once again to tangle at that dot. LaSalle wins it to himself. He's a threat to score every time he touches it. Instead, Moore whistled it wide. LaSalle staying on the field. LaSalle from X. Against his face-off competitor, too. That's interesting. Lynch was checking him.
This is a brutal matchup.
This is not good for Notre Dame. Face-off man Lynch against Schellenberger. Now the help comes in the form of Reynolds. Dixon had his defender hung up initially. Skip past to Connor.
The matchup is behind the cage with Griffin Schutz right now because he has Notre Dame's face-off specialist.
Yeah, Will Lynch is on him. Up top, the extra pass, Connor, nice catch. Moore was able to keep possession. Schellenberger uses a pick, doesn't have a great angle, but he finds Dixon inside, who weaves and scores.
I love the band, and I love players like Xander Dixon who are willing to move without the ball and think ahead.
Absolutely, and it's the wrist action of 10 and white too. Schellenberger so cool and patient, allowing the offense to percolate, knowing that the off-ball play of guys like Cormier and guys like Dixon ultimately will give him the opportunity there. You see that flick of the wrist though? It's a catch and the flick of the wrist all in one motion.
Deception, the low release to a high location. That's the same cut he made earlier, and he scored on it. But this time, when he got to the crease, he just kind of made an L and scraped across the top of the crease and then curled up front, almost like a fishhook.
Yeah, you know what I'm really impressed about with Xander Dixon? In high school, he was an ex-attackman, played behind the cage with the ball on his stick all the time. His off-ball play, we know about him as a passer and a guy who can dodge with those quick changes of direction. His ability to play away from the ball, though, has really taken another step this season.
Zinn, fast. Number 0 with the ball in his cross for Virginia.
I view Dixon as such a valuable piece of this Virginia puzzle for Sean Kerwin, their OC. He's a positionless offensive player. He can invert, he can wing dodge, he's got a little range now, powerful shot, and he's so smart without the ball.
Yeah, I think next year when Moore graduates and goes to the PLL, the 2-quarterback system with Sean Kerwin works, and I would put Dixon with Schellenberger.
Entman makes the beautiful save as Moore had the shorty on him. Got a great look. Loose ball, back to Virginia. Fresh 60 seconds to shoot for the Cavaliers, as Entman did have to make the save. Now Schellenberger. Jason Reynolds, the Richmond transfer on him, but Schellenberger got loose, and he beats Entman.
I can't remember an attackman on a shooting streak like Connor Schellenberger is on right now. Yesterday in practice, watching him shoot, the ball comes out of his stick faster than his rotation, meaning the wrists at the end are just like snap. Watch this ball explode. Boom!
Yeah, that's near side too. This angle will show you near side. He has no net on that near side. He still finds a way to get past Entman. Connor Schellenberger right now is playing on a completely different level than the rest of college lacrosse. That's just the reality.
He's beating goalies to the punch as if he is Sugar Ray Leonard, just with quickness of hands. Boom, boom.
And if you watch him, and you watch him long enough, he hardly makes mistakes. He rarely turns the ball over. His shooting percentage for a perimeter guy I mentioned earlier is around 50%. That's nuts.
Crowd didn't like that procedure call against LaSalle. So McCann and Notre Dame will try to counter. Back with Dobson up top. Jacobois and Lipka will follow suit. Jacobois got his hands free a number of times. Now inside Lipka. Oh, Griffin Westland just couldn't quite handle it. Back to Virginia.
Interesting strategy that Virginia would cover Dobson with a short stick defensive midfielder. Comfortable with it as they slide to Dobson and make him a passer.
Kavanaugh with a hit in the middle of the field, picks up the loose change. Good look. Westland opted not to shoot it. Jacobois does though, and it doesn't get through. That might have hit Jack Peel, who was diving to block that shot. Peel
Virginia's
gets up.
clearing has been subpar today.
One of the better riding teams, though, in the country, this Notre Dame team, too. To give them credit, third best in the country percentage-wise coming in. Kavanaugh. Kastner's done well on him, number 39 for Virginia. Been stuck to him all game long. Jacobois. Lipka's inverted. Dobson, he'll shoot. Nunes goes high to Robin. Over to Schutz. It's kind of nice to have a guy that's 6'3", 220 pounds as your football punt return clear guy. 26 is just gets the ball in his cross. He's a load. Schutz now gets free again. Notre Dame's been very aggressive, checking him defensively way out here and giving him an opportunity to get a running head start, don't you think?
Yes.
He's had a lot of success with that today.
I don't think people realize how fast he is, right? I think they're pegging him as a big body physical dodger, but his straight line speed is super impressive.
Schellenberger's feeling it a little bit here. Cormier's shot was deflected. It'll stay with the Wahoos. Still 21 seconds to shoot. Get a call here on that pick, it looks like, from Connor, rather. It'll be a turnover. Now that's an opportunity against that 10-man ride. If you're going to chuck that long distance pass slash shot.
Yeah, Maryland was successful last week.
But if you're not backing it up, though, it's a turnover the other way. So high risk, high reward at times against that 10-man ride.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how many empty net goals are you going to give up for turnovers? You know, we saw the same thing on Tuesday night, BU and Harvard game. It's like you roll the dice now. Guys are getting so good, they can nail an empty net from 60 yards.
Here's Jack Simmons.
Lefty, he'll come back.
He does roll back, now back to his right again.
Nice save.
Hensman goes down to beat Schellenberger. 8 save for Hensman, had 19 last week in their win against Michigan. Kavanaugh opting to get a better shot. Nunes is there, and we'll get it in the crease against Kavanaugh. Thought he might have tried to take a longer range shot when Nunes was out of the cage. Opted not to do it. Only 11 of Notre Dame's 27 shots in this game have been on goal. Big one in the Ivy League. Penn leading Cornell 11-7 right now in the third.
Penn plays a schedule. Jeez, right? When you look at their schedule, Duke, Georgetown out of conference.
Quickness from Dixon. Cormier was about to unload. Instead gets it back here to Schutz. Justin Chang getting some playing time now with a long pole for Notre Dame. Oh, Dixon tried to feed it inside to him, and Notre Dame was ready for it this time. That play has worked on occasion today already.
Yeah, Notre Dame adjusted in the first quarter. Dixon was successful with that same exact backside cut, but Notre Dame obviously makes the adjustment with the big stop.
Irish just 5 seconds to get the ball across the midfield line, and they do. McCann, number 15, D-Mitty. Good wing on face-offs because he can play two ways. Former offensive player here for Notre Dame. Gets it to Lipka. Not a Walker in there as that third attackman behind the cage. Jacobois. Got a step on his defender. Now the slide comes from Peel. Kavanaugh. Couldn't get a clean shot.
Kastner draped all over him. You know, we've been watching Virginia all season long. Has Kastner had a bad day?
No. I mean, last week there was one pick and slip that he didn't manage well, but he and Will Bowen, to me, are head and shoulders above the rest. And these are the type of players, not only are going to play in Premier Lacrosse League, the PLL, which you can watch on the ESPN app, they got a shot to make Team USA.
I would agree with you. I would agree with you. Long, athletic. And the thing with Kastner, too, like, you made the analogy yesterday when we were watching one of your old teammates when you were a freshman at Hopkins, Steve Mitchell, right? Like one of those long guys that you could put him up top if you had to, too.
He can play long stick. He can play long stick midfield. The thing about Kastner, he gets better every time we see him. Again, he's only a second-year starter. Remember at the beginning of last year, he was like nowhere on the depth chart.
Yeah,
and
low
so he
tread.
Continues to improve. Palo Alto, California, only a sophomore.
Yep. Schellenberger scores.
He's
Shelley's
calm.
pumped up, huh?
Yeah, he's calm, he's cool, but he's pumped up when he rips. You saw him coming around goal line extended with the left hand. When you watch Connor Schellenberger, no one can tell me they know what his dominant hand is. He's equally effective going right. He's equally effective going left. But the reaction, it's the change of direction, the footwork, and the shooting mechanics. Best player in the nation has his team up big.
Introducing the new Whopper Melt, inspired by the Flame Grilled Classic, but with cheese, more cheese, caramelized onions, and toasted buns. Is it Whopper worthy? You decide. Try the new Whopper Melt and Classic Spicy or Bacon, now open late.
Hey sis, check out this cute spot. Bougie. I prefer my coffee with a view. Safety first.
The 2022 Chevy Blazer and Trailblazer with standard Chevy Safety Assist, part of the Chevy family of SUVs. Find new experiences, find new roads.
Very well-qualified buyers can get 0% financing on most Blazer models. Plus, current competitive owners get an additional $750 bonus cash. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
The Cavalier lead is 6 here in Charlottesville. Our New York Life player spotlight is, of course, Connor Schellenberger, nation's leading scorer, 3-2 on the day, Q.
Charlottesville native, went to St. Anne's Belfield, and actually as a junior went up and went to Bullis in D.C., played for the Mad Lax club. His parents, Scott and Stephanie. Scott was a great golfer at Marshall and one time ate 78 wings.
Yeah, don't tell it's 76. He'll get mad at you. He wants those extra too.
Shelley played JV as a 7th grader. As an 8th grader, only played club and then played 4 years of varsity.
I think the two big factors in his development, his father, Scott, who never played the sport of lacrosse but was on the playing fields with him every single day, buckets of balls, just the muscle memory in terms of the shooting mechanics. Right, left, both sides, equally impressive when you see his hand speed and his overall shooting mechanics are elite. And the second person, and Scott Schellenberger will tell you, it's Cabell Maddox, who coached him
Mad Lax.
at Mad Lax, was there from day one in terms of pushing him to be the very best.
He commuted up to Washington, D.C. to play for a club team.
Yep, 2.5
Think about
hours.
the miles on Route 29.
Right.
4 times a week, doing his homework in the front seat.
A hustle on that play for Virginia. Russ Bergmaster was able to get the ball across the midfield line, but couldn't keep possession.
Didn't hear the bagpipes today from Bergmaster. They don't bring him on the road anymore, Kark?
I don't know.
They might have
Great
frozen.
family. Bergmeister's 2 older brothers played at Albany. Dan Bergmaster, his father is a huge lacrosse fan and someone that I communicate with. And the Bergmasters, when you watched his 2 brothers at Albany too, just really tough, kind of like that old school upstate lacrosse mentality.
They're from Auburn, New York, man.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
There he is right here. Here's Ross.
Schutz.
Going against the big dude here.
Yeah, Schutz got a step on him, opted to get it off to Matt Moore. Kings that one off the crossbar. Cormier.
You know what I've seen too in this game, guys? There's a big difference. Virginia, I think, is like shot ready a lot of times off a ball movement. Do you notice that? Like a lot of times the ball's spinning
Catch
and
to
how
shoot.
quick it's coming out. Yeah, whether it's Dixon,
catch to shoot.
Schellenberger, you saw Cormier there, where it feels like Notre Dame's taking that extra second or 2.
Catch to shoot was a term that I saw Jay Billis use on SportsCenter today, talking about an Elite 8 offense in basketball.
Good cross-selling. Turnover by McCann. That Virginia ride doing what they do best, getting possession right back to the offense.
Some on offense catch to dodge, some catch to
Yep.
shoot, and some catch and then assess. But what Mr. Billis was saying is, like, catch ready to shoot. Let it go. I think he was talking about Villanova.
Schellenberger. Hanson goes up the ladder.
This
Now
is a
McCann
chance
will look
here.
to break out.
They got a trailer.
Reynolds is there with the long pull. McCann will shoot and score!
Finally, transition for the Irish. This has been in short supply this season for Notre Dame, but it starts with just a brilliant save. Watch the shooter, Connor Schellenberger, pay the price afterwards. The clean save, and then the run out.
That was Bergmaster. Upstate tough, and then Quinn McCann, the luxury of playing him at defensive midfield is all of the reps and the years he's played offensively.
Right.
He's one of those guys in transition. He always has the green light.
Entman picks up the assist.
Snowing again.
Either a seagull got
Those are
shot
flowers.
up there. There's flowers. Yeah, I was
Those
going to
are
say, they're
flower petals.
gigantic petals.
We could have sold him at snow.
They're almost as big as feathers.
Mm-hmm. It was snowing earlier. We had a squall that
So
came
not
through
that
here.
crazy.
I believe that's what it's called.
Pretty time of year with the blossoms. But, you know.
It'd be prettier if it was about 20 degrees warmer.
Yeah, I was gonna
but
say
still
that.
pretty. And yet the fans come out for this one. Packed house here at Klockner.
Great crowd.
This is
They
one
built
of my
something here,
favorites,
man.
always. Yeah.
With Lars and the success, they're filling this place now on a weekly basis.
Jacobois is high, big collision out in front of the crease. Both players a little slow to get up. That might be Sawstead on the far side for Virginia, still down a little bit. He is not 100%. He played last week against Maryland, and Coach Tiffany said his lateral movement just wasn't there, but he's playing his way back into shape, if you will. Take a look at it here as they collide. Oh, had his head down. That's ouch.
You got to see what you hit. Keep your head up.
You know, you mentioned they're building something here. This is a destination for lacrosse, hands down. But I think it helps, too, when the biggest star in the game right now is a local product as well, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, this is a good product here. The venue, the success, the style of play.
Kavanaugh defended nicely.
Kastner again.
Peel on his horse.
Look at that.
Here's Schellenberger on Cohen. He'll look to make something happen in the middle of the field. Check that. That was Moore. They haven't really relied on Moore to give him much production offensively today.
Yeah, he's been quiet.
Corey. Will Corey, number 14.
We're talking about Moore and being quiet. Arden Cohen, I think, is coming to his own this season as well. 36 in blue, one of the premier defenders on the ball right here in all of college lacrosse. I have him as a top-rated defender heading into the PLL draft. I just think he's just seasoned, he's tough, plays his angles, and really doing a fantastic job on Moore.
Bergmaster.
You don't worry about the Notre Dame guys being system defenders?
I think they've had some success. Matt Landis was a good pro. Garrett Epple, I think, has done a really solid job as a number 1 in that league.
Oh, Entman.
Good handle.
10 saves now for Entman. Chris Kavanaugh. Final seconds of this third quarter. Can the Irish get a shot off? Walker needs to pull the trigger. Can't. Nothing doing. Both goaltenders playing well, but it's the Virginia offense spreading it around today and getting 3 from Connor Schellenberger. They lead by 5 as we head to the final stanza.
Isn't it time we thank our eyes for maintaining focus in the face of pressure and for showing us you don't have to bowl a good game to have a good time? Thank your eyes by enrolling in a VSP Vision Plan. Learn how at VSP.com.
Ready to start trading your way? How about $200 in stock? Open and fund a Tastyworks account and get $200 in stock on us. At Tastyworks, you can trade stocks, options, futures, and crypto, all on one easy-to-use platform. Ready to start trading your way? Go to tastyworks.com/get200 and get $200 in stock when you open and fund an account now. Tastyworks. Love where you trade.
College lacrosse doubleheader here on the ACC Network. Coming up next, Chris Gray, North Carolina, at home, taking on Bellarmine. What's nicer there? I mean, it just looks like it's a really nice day in Chapel Hill. It's not that
only
far
a few
from
hours
us
south.
geographically.
Chris Gray, the magical Chris Gray, and the shooting ability. One of the craftiest off-ball attackmen I've seen in years, Quinn.
What he's done this year, the game against Denver was just mind-boggling. As you take a look at our game summary, Schellenberger, I got him for 5 points. Our stats got him for 4 face-offs. Notre Dame's done a better job in the second half. Both goalies have been really, really good. Matt Nunes, fewer saves but higher quality. Entman last week was a catalyst and a turning point for his season with that diving save he made. You remember it? Against Michigan. He's been great since.
Yeah, I also think Notre Dame has 31 shots, which isn't like too low, but I'm impressed with Virginia's ability to create opportunities for that man right there, Matt Nunes, to make savable type of plays, right? I think the Virginia defense is forcing Notre Dame's offenses to some poor angled shots as well.
Most of Notre Dame's shots have been while on the run. One thing that sets Maryland apart this season, their ball movement leads to feet set, mid-range shots. Shooting percentage with the feet set, a lot higher than it is when you're on the run.
That's a great point, and I think Virginia's D has been really disruptive too in terms of just understanding their angles. Cole Kastner is putting together another masterful performance on Pat Kavanaugh.
Irish get possession off that face-off to start this fourth quarter. That's evened up in this game. LaSalle had the big-time early advantage Irish are fighting back, and they're getting strong wing play. Jacobbois, he got free, and Nunes denies him. That's several times Jacobbois has come right down the slot and been wide open and hasn't been able to beat Nunes.
So what do you do if you're Wheaton? You're
spot
running
right
by
there.
guys now on
Yeah.
a weekly basis and just not finishing. How do you change that?
I don't think he's shooting to bigger sections of the goal right there, right? Like, so he's shooting out of that move there. You don't see Nunes having to make an acrobatic type stop. You don't shoot for the corners. I say you shoot for the quadrants, right? So you have a righty goalie in Nunes, and when you're coming down the middle here, maybe you lean towards his strong side, his right side, and then you close out going opposites, away from his body, and not aiming for a corner, but just aiming for a bigger white spot of the net.
Schellenberger, Matt Moore opted not to shoot it, instead passing it. Ends up going the other way. Kavanaugh's looking for early offense. Bergmaster was there. Instead, he opts to get it to Harris.
Better transition D from the Cavaliers, who last week gave up 6 transition goals to just a lethal Maryland transition offense.
Yeah.
Terps are unbelievable running from D to O.
Yep, they had 5 end-to-end, and then the empty netter, which is considered a transition when Virginia puts all their stats together. But to put a bow on the shooting, too, I always tell people, like, when you shoot for corners, your margin for error is so slim. When you shoot for quadrants, if you're off a foot here or there, you still have a position to force a goalie to make a save.
Ten saves now on the day for Nunes. Kavanaugh, relentless ride. Gets possession back to the Irish. Down 5 goals. Got to make something happen here in the 4th. Riley Gray now has scored earlier. On the invert, Grayson Saladay, one of the captains, on him. Angrick to Meyer. Westland now back to Angrick. Had an opportunity with the right hand, opted not to take the opportunity. Jacobbois. Excuse me, that's Kavanaugh, wide. It's Chris Kavanaugh, haven't mentioned his name very much at all today.
That was a nice move. Did leave himself with enough angle.
Terrible angle on that shot.
That was a no angle shot. Again,
Yeah.
so many of these shots are from the wings. You look at this field, you see where the grass is brown and gray in the middle?
Yep.
That's where you want to be shooting. They always used to say, dodge to the dirt.
Well, the other thing is, where did that ball go out of bounds when he shot it?
Sideline.
Sideline. You
Goal
want the
line
ball to
extended.
go out of bounds on the end line if you miss.
2 Kavanaughs now. Under 10 to shoot. Chris will have to take a shot, try to get a better angle. Now inside, Westland behind the back and misses. Just 1 second now left on the clock.
Credit this Virginia defense, right? A week ago, 23 goals they let up against Maryland. They answer today, holding this Irish offense with 10 minutes left in the 4th quarter to 4 goals. I mean, this was a defense that you know was challenged all week long by Coach Lars Tiffany.
Cotter, he told us they shortened practice this week by 15 minutes and ramped up the
Quicker pace,
intensity.
yes.
Moore on Cohen. If you want someone to set a pick for you, Schutz is a pretty good option. Now Schellenberger. It's Matt Douglas on him. Douglas has earned more playing time. That is a tough pass through the teeth of that defense, but Virginia comes out of there with it. Moore's got a shorty on him if he opts to dodge. Instead, he gets it off to Connor.
Well, they give him a reset.
Looking to reset the shot clock, you're right. That shot high. Notre Dame wins Virginia wins the race, excuse me. Right now, we have to get the shot clock figured out because it says 4 seconds here in our stadium clock.
Yeah, the officials were asking for a reset at about the 10-second mark.
Again, our officials, Scott Rayburn, Andrew Smith, Jeff Brousseau, talking things over. Now we'll get some sort of an explanation here.
He had blue playing without a stick. It's going to reset to 60.
That's why the reset. Blue was playing without a stick. So Virginia had possession during that time. Resets the clock. Fresh 60.
That hurts if you're Notre Dame. Dixon. That is a tough pass in traffic. Tried to get it to Schutz. Here comes Douglas in Notre Dame. Westland has a chance. McCann, nice pass.
Oh,
stolen by Nunes.
Wow.
Brings the crowd to its feet here at Klockner. Will Virginia counter?
Cue the replay. Let's go. They're on their feet here at Klockner. Left side of your screen, Quint. This is a gem.
Virginia's defense, not sure why they slid upfield. It's a point blank. High fake to an offside hip. He's not buying the fake. Flexibility and the athletic ability of Matt Nunes is a little different. He is not stiff at all. He is so flexible and mobile.
Save of the day.
Light on his feet.
Schellenberger on Harris here. Now the help comes, but somebody's open inside, and it was Cormier who just missed.
The crazy thing about today, the names we've mentioned the most, Nunes, Schellenberger, Schutz, and Kastner. You got 2 sophomores and 2 freshmen. Yikes.
Garno, just too high. He's taken some rips from the outside today, just hadn't been on target. Now Moore and Cohen. Good battle we've seen all game long. Inside, that's too easy right there. Will Corey all alone in front of the crease. It all started with Nunes on the other end with the great save, and now he's getting congratulatory high fives from his teammates.
To make a point-blank save, you've got to gauge the fake cadence of the shooter. Is he a 1 fake guy, a 2 fake guy? That was a high fake to an offside hip. A dynamic move by Nunes.
Freshman to senior in Matt Moore, dealing the rock. Cavs are rolling.
For March Madness, the Dave single is just $1 in the Wendy's app. Reg.
Lunchtime, baby.
Lunchtime indeed, Rich.
Get a hot and juicy Dave single for just $1 in the app. Choose wise. Choose Wendy's.
Oh, there's my little nephew. He looks more like Dad every time I see him. Dad is old. Right. So your message said you wanted to talk about insurance? I said I want you to talk about insurance. Well, most people know that bundling home and auto saves you money. Keep saying your words. But did you know that new customers who bundle and save with Progressive can save an average of $800? Sleeping baby. I love you too.
Beautiful pass from Matt Moore on that last goal. 2 assists today, now second place all time on Virginia's scoring list. Trailing just Steele Stanwyck.
Yeah.
Sister Sheehan calling the game next here on ACC Network. North Carolina, Bellarmine.
Mrs. Stanwyck.
Yeah, Matt Moore. I mean,
what a nice guy. We were talking about him before practice yesterday.
He's awesome. I think he's going to be a fantastic pro, too, just because of his versatility. He played midfield as a freshman. He's got the 40-40 season as a sophomore. The head's up. He's dishing. The vision's there. He's an outside shooter. Beating Doug Knight, too. Doug Knight was legendary.
Dougie.
He was my class. We used to play against
Dougie the
Virginia.
Diver.
Yeah, those Syracuse matchups. I'll never forget. We came down here in February, my junior year. Doug Knight took us for 8 goals. It's the only time I asked the coach, do you think we should change the matchup?
Y-Town? You had a Y-Town defender who got torched 8 times?
No, it wasn't a Y-Town defender. It was a Syracuse defender.
Oh, Syracuse.
I'm not going to call out an old teammate right now.
Okay. No, I don't want to know his name.
Wasn't a Syracuse defender from Y-Town.
No, it wasn't Ricky Beardsley, no.
Of course not.
Ricky would not allow that to happen. Come on.
He would get I'm sure he's upset at me just for even insinuating that might happen. Oh, high pass. Beautiful look inside. Nunes again. Wow. He's unbeatable today. And he got the outlet out quickly to Zinn. Look at these wheels.
Dobson's no slowpoke, though. 8 and blue is a primetime athlete. Size, speed.
Dixon. They've got some Notre Dame offensive middies hung up, including Lipka, number 66, out there on the field. So they may try and take advantage of this substitution advantage. Schutz. Bergmaster will come out there and check him. Now Schutz inverted on Reynolds. Moore to Schellenberger. Dixon, the former attackman, now playing out of that, running out of that midfield. Under 10 to shoot. Cormier beats Entenmann. Perfect offensive possession for Virginia.
Quint, you and I are talking during the break about solving a goalie, right? With fakes and no fakes. This is unstoppable because there's no fake involved. It's just a quick little lean. If you watch his body language here, kind of leans and then it actually throws the head of the stick across his face a little bit.
Yeah, and see how high that release point was, Clark? Like you think it's coming off his shoulder, it's way above his head, which actually helps as Entenmann kind of crouches. It creates all sorts of space up top. You see the Oakville Ox, great finisher from the slot, a big lefty, 230-pound junior now.
We were going back and forth, like the one fake, then you have the double fake, right? Like Kavanaugh had the one fake. You were talking about Tom Marechek from Syracuse would have 2 fakes, would really throw you off. But then you have the no fake with like a release like that, like a quirky release coming out of that for a goalie. To me, that is very hard to track because of the deception, right? It's not a traditional overhand release there.
What I like about Cormier also is you talked about it earlier in the show. He's shooting the ball hard for net. He's not aiming for corners.
Yes.
Like, he's going to try to knock that goalie through the back of the net. He's not being fine with it, not placing it. He's hammering it home.
Chris Kavanaugh up top. Got to stick a little bit high. No call. Meyer. Here's Angrick, the freshman. Back to Kavanaugh. Nothing's come easy today for Pat Kavanaugh, that is for sure. Physical.
This defense. I mean, we talked about Maryland. You give up 23 last week. The Terps have set the bar this year, 2022. That's the team to beat by far. Virginia's shown massive improvement defensively today.
You know, Notre Dame played Maryland tough a few weeks ago.
Notre Dame's defensive system, where they slide, that is double team from the crease, is the way you want to play the Terps.
Pipe. And then they tried to get a quick one there with Moore, just couldn't handle the pass. Out of bounds to Notre Dame.
Explain to people why.
Well, if you go adjacent, if you slide adjacently against Maryland, they're just gonna shell you with quick ball movement.
Yep.
The ball is in and out of sticks so fast. You have to make Maryland more of an isolation team. Virginia tried to do that last week, and the Terps smoked them. Terps midfielders played so great last week.
Yeah, they played the perfect game. I've been telling people all week, though, like, I think people think, like, Maryland could run away with this. If Virginia and Maryland play again, you know, the discrepancy in possessions in that first half dictated the flow of that game. Like, those are two teams that I think are very, very evenly matched. You give two even teams, you give one of those two even teams that many extra possessions.
You see it in all sports. The overreaction to a regular season game. A game that at one point was, what, 15-11? Like, Virginia scored on Maryland at the end of the day. They didn't have many possessions. They scored on the Terps. The question was they couldn't defend them. They couldn't stop them.
7-goal lead. Lars Tiffany more than happy to run that 80-second shot clock all the way down, even though it's a turnover. Back to the Irish. Dobson showing his speed and athleticism. Now back to his left. Wow, what a goal end-to-end for Dobson.
Goal Irish. Third in goal, scorer number 8, Eric Dobson.
Dobson's had a nice year. He's only a sophomore. Fleming Island, Florida, the flamethrower. Passing has been much improved, but he's got that burst. He's got the speed. He's got the outside range. Left-hander, 6'5". I mean, you talk about the prototypical ACC midfielder.
Yeah, he's a beast. But you know what he did really well there? You know he loves his left hand. As a freshman, he started his dodges a lot of times with his left. This time he sets up the left by going down that right alley.
Gable Braun taking this draw for Virginia. Lynch tracks it down. Gets it to Entman. We got a flag here. Delayed call against Virginia. Cohen. Whistle on the play. Now we'll get an opportunity to get a call here on the infraction. Take a look at this. On the head.
Yeah, look at Lynch right there. 22 in blue. Gets it from the back as well.
Yeah. Maybe a little late also. Minuteman up for the Irish. Down 6. With Syracuse's win against Duke today, that sets up is really going to be an important game for both of these teams next week. Notre Dame and Syracuse in South Bend. Garth, you and I are going to be there.
Looks like I'm playing chauffeur for you all next week, right?
You are. You're
picking
driving.
you up at the airport,
Yeah.
driving you to the game, driving you back.
Right to the gate in Chi-Town.
I'll have one of those signs on my window with your name on it, ready for you. Hercules.
Off the pipe.
Notre Dame now shooting, 5 of 41, less than 12%.
Really amazing. Jackovois. No. Just over 2 minutes left to go here.
Watch your pens around, Quinn. He just tried to steal my pen.
He
tried to put it in his pocket.
I thought it was my pen. We have the same hotel pens.
It's weak.
I got a La Quinta here and a Hilton.
Nothing.
The best one I got is
got a La Quinta. You stayed with a La Quinta?
Yeah, I've never stayed there.
That?
Where'd you stay there?
Dobson can't handle the pass. Zid.
We're all even on the field.
I haven't bought pens.
Virginia's moment of Zid.
This is big. Like for me, I think we're starting to see a trend, right? Like if you're gonna 10-man, I think teams are starting to understand, like, you have to have some long-range shooters and take that chance.
This is discussed. If you beat your man in the middle of the field against a 10-man, look up. And you see the speed is in. Right now, as a goalie, you got to get back between the pipes. I don't know what Enneman's doing out there. Again, have a little forecasting involved, see the play develop. As soon as zero scoots that, it's off. It is off, and you're back in the goal.
You know, Notre Dame hasn't used the 10-man much at all this year. Obviously, late in the game, a little desperation. That's when you want to practice that, right? But you brought up a point that I think is very interesting. At what point in time do you weigh the options of 10-man?
Yeah,
Is
no,
it
exactly.
worth it?
How many empty net goals? And that's the fourth I've seen now, or third I've seen in the last 2 weeks. The 10-man works great at the high school level where defenders can't handle. They can't make that 40-yard pass or that 60-yard pass, especially when the weather's bad. Man, it's raining in a high school game. You're a coach. Go 10-man.
Yeah, you're right.
Go 10-man.
Yeah.
They cannot physically make that pass. Why are you covering a guy? So you just slide everybody upfield, full court press.
7 different goal scorers on the day for Virginia. Now we get a whistle. Resetting the shot clock. Tiffany's still riding the officials. Got a 7-goal lead in the final minute. Virginia's at Richmond next Saturday. That's dangerous.
Yeah.
Nice bounce back this week after the Maryland loss, but going on the road playing at Richmond next week. It's a short trip, but Spiders can play.
Yeah, the Spiders are one of the teams, like High Point, like Jacksonville, they play the ACC every season. So it's not like, oh, we're playing an ACC team as Angrick, right? This guy has played some real ball for Notre Dame. As a freshman, one of the top-rated midfielders in the country for a reason. You're seeing him on offense right now, but what he does between the lines, the full, complete game of 29 in blue, the sky is the limit, and that is a beautiful, beautiful dodge coming out of a roll. And look at the placement of the shot, Quinn.
Yeah, high
on a ready
release
goalie.
to a low location, overhand, Georgetown prep product. He's been ultra consistent. I think he's got 5 games with 1 goal apiece in those games. He's showing up, he's shooting a high percentage. And what I love there, he dodged to the dirt. Relatively the center of the field where the goal is big.
And where he made his roll, he made it far enough towards the middle. When he came out of it, he still had a good angle.
Final minute of play here from Charlottesville. Tried the hidden ball trick. Westland. Meyer. He scores. Miles Thompson is in net for Virginia on those last couple of goals. Nunes, his day was over. Thompson getting a little bit of run.
Mo Meyer with the outside bouncer using the earth. Grad student out of San Diego. Says his inspiration for lacrosse, Conbro Chill. Can you believe it? Mo Meyer's inspiration to be a lacrosse player was Conbro Chill. You can't make this stuff up.
Pass broken up. Kavanaugh, look at that. That's crazy.
Pat Kavanaugh, that is your typical Pat Kavanaugh move, right? Like you think he's done, and he finds a way to escape a double team, constant pressure. But I'm feeling for Thompson. You know better than anyone, Quinn, as a goalie, to be thrown in here on a cold day without the warm-up against these shooters. 17 in white has seen some rubber in limited action today. But the warm-up is so critical, don't you think?
No, I know that it's tough, and especially here, they don't really have space. You'd like to get the ball hopping on the sideline.
3 goals in 34 seconds for the Irish. Can they make it 4 in succession? Kavanaugh trying to get underneath. That's a tough angle. Thompson couldn't see it at first, but it squirts away. Don't forget North Carolina and Bellarmine coming up next. We'll get you there as soon as we hear the final whistle in this one. Flag down, it won't matter. Virginia bounces back from their first loss of the year last weekend. They took the lead early here. and controlled it throughout. Late rally by the Irish.